chapters and leaning over the desk and hitting me on the head. Literally, I mean literally. So when she read those, she looked up and said, okay. And I said, okay what? And she said, okay, you did it. I said, what? She said, you did it. This will sell. This is saleable quality. I don't know if it'll be the first thing you sell, but you'll be able to sell this eventually. You did it. I did. Because remember, these were the chapters I'd been writing to prove a point to her about how wrong she was about what she was trying to teach me. And I was trying to prove that point by doing everything she told me to. And because I'm a freaking genius. I swear, my entire writing career has been me making a stupid mistake and going, let's roll with that, and it working out. But I said, okay. She's like, well, what happens next? And I had no idea what was going to happen next until she asked me. I said, well, I think I'm going to give him this assistant that is going to be like his magical assistant, because, you know, when he needs to explain magic stuff to the police, that's one thing, but when he's got more advanced stuff, then he needs to have somebody he can go consult about stuff, because I don't want to make him the smartest guy anywhere about it. And she's like, okay, well, that'll be, so you're going to write this assistant, and that seems like a reasonable next step, as long as you don't make him a talking head. Which is writer speak for a character that just shows up and dispenses information and otherwise doesn't have any particular personality or anything like that. He's just there to show information. And the typical talking head character is, the example they use comes from the old pulp science fiction shows, where you'd have characters show up and say, as you know, Bob, you know, the chemical makeup of this shampoo. And yeah, but if Bob knows already the chemical makeup of this shampoo, why are you even talking to him? You know, that's that kind of character that drives you insane. So she said, don't make a talking head. Instead, I made a literal talking head named Bob. Came back with that next week, and she says, oh, you think you're clever, don't you? And I also turned in at that time an outline. She's like, give me an idea of the outline of the rest of the story. And so then I came in the next week with an outline of the rest of the story, and then the 19 stories that came after that one. And I'm like, do you think 20's enough? And she kind of looks at me because I'm not bright enough to realize I'm never going to sell a 20-book series to an editor just off the bat. And she just kind of looks at me knowing that I'm ignorant and doesn't want to crush my enthusiasm. And she's like, I think if you could sell 20 books, yeah, you should be doing fine. You know, just completely dry. It was, oh my gosh, looking back at it now, it's like, golly, I was dumb. But on the other hand, because I was too dumb to know I was never going to sell that to an editor, I went and sold it to an editor. And I sold them 3 books to start with, and I think they only bought the first one because they weren't going to have to do a lot of work to make it ready. You know, basically it was like, we got to have some new guys. Who are we going to pick? Well, this guy's the thing is practically done. We're not going to have to do anything to it at all. Get him. We're busy. And he's already got the next 2 written. Great, fine. Do a 3-book deal. And that was the Dresden Files was a 3-book deal at first, just because I had 3 books written. And then after that, they said, yeah, we'll try 2 more. And by then, it had started picking up. And then, you know, well, then all of you. But yeah, I mean, that was probably the smartest dumb thing I've ever done. Do you think 20 books is enough? Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'm thinking like maybe a big trilogy at the end to cap the whole thing off. Sure, why not? You know, was sort of a response. Debbie's awesome. she's just extremely cool and always has been. But anyway, hi.
I think we have time for maybe 1 more question, so...
Okay.
Maybe 2, maybe 2.
Oh, are you ready? All right, well, first of all, this is extremely impressive because I can remember you coming here to our dinky little Phoenix Book Festival, and I was like one of the only people who came up and talked to you afterwards.
I know, right?
Yes.
I just kind of sat there in this booth going,
My brother and you talked about fedoras for like 10 minutes. But back then you had mentioned the fact that you love to do a lot of research for your books, and it's very obvious in your books. Do you get frustrated now because you're on more of a deadline and more of a schedule as to if you can get any extra research done, or do you ever feel like you're rushed?
There's my editor right there. I think I still like doing what I do, and occasionally I think I might drive Anne a little bit crazy because I'm not doing what I do quite as on time as I used to. But there's so much more to do in the writing career that's not actually writing now than there used to be. So, I mean, this year I'm spending more time on the road, kind of doing conventions and stuff like this, than I did in the last 3 years put together, and I've still got more writing to get done. So, I mean, it's become more challenging, and it's like, and I'm not a kid in my 20s with energy to burn anymore. And, you know, I've got to think about all these things like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to start eating healthy now and stuff like that. Bad things happen to my body if I don't. I can't just grab some pizza and go back to work. No, you can't. Get that chicken, you know. So, I mean, there's a lot of challenges to face, and one of them is, you know, how do I manage my time so that I can do the research that I need to do to spend the time that I need to spend on the book to make it good, because the books are just getting longer and more involved, and yet still finish it on something like time so that my publisher can plan, you know, how are we going to do our major projects this year? God, I wish Jim Butcher would turn things in on time so we could predict that. But I can only write it as fast as I can write it and get it done as fast as I can write it done. I'm doing my best. I guess we'll see what happens.
Because it's Molly, one more.
Awesome.
And this is actually a short question. Are we ever going to find out who McNally used to be?
Who McNally used to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna find out about Mac, but not probably. Probably not gonna be at the end. So, yeah, as long as you get to find out, yeah. Okay. Assuming he's anybody at all, he might not be. I mean, you know. Guys, thank you very, very much for coming and putting up. Real quick, in case you didn't know, we had announced that my signing was at 1 in the VIP area. It's not, it's at noon. So I'm heading over there right now. It's from noon to 1 and not from 1 to 2. So that's where I'm going to be. Right after this, I'm heading over to sign books.
Noon in booth 20, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Jim Butcher.